Hi, I'm Ellis George, play Courtney Woods, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 219 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And I feel like I've not gone to bed yet, and I'm pretty sure Lady Gaga and Olivia Colman probably haven't.
Probably not.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us. Let's start off like we do every week on the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Brittany in Bethlehem.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Somebody got chuckles.
The Oscar hangover is real.
Yes.
I was just saying before we started, it's like it's tired. It's like as tired as I am. I can't imagine what the winners feel like. I'm sure they partied hard.
Mm-hmm.
I just sat on a couch and drank wine and went to bed way past my bedtime. It was so worth it, but we'll get to that.
Yes.
First up, the news. Don't have a lot of news.
No, we do have some 10 o'clock.
Yes. So the members of the Monkees are now down to 2.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Tork, who was a member of the Monkees, has passed away at the age of 77.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently he's been ill for quite a while, actually.
Yeah.
He's been fighting cancer for like a decade. But he was still very active up until really recently. So
yes.
I was very fortunate I got to go to the anniversary tour. So I got to see at least the show that I went to here in Indy. It was just Peter and Mickey.
Okay.
Mike did not show up for that particular one. So it was just the two of them, but still it was very glad that I got to see Peter in that. I know Mickey and Mike are actually doing kind of like a mini tour, just the two of them. That starts later this week, I think, actually. I think March 1st is one of their first dates. Yeah, I remember discovering my mom's vinyl Monkees records in her collection and listening to them on our record player because I was cool like that growing up. And
did you hit the right age with the Nick at Night and them
yes.
airing the reruns of the
I don't remember if I discovered the vinyl or the TV show first. My guess is I discovered the vinyl probably first. And then once I, regularly started going to Grandpa's who had cable and I grew up on Nick at Night. That I probably discovered the TV show. So, and you can find, I don't know if you necessarily find the entire series, but you can find episodes on YouTube.
YouTube, yep. And I do happen to have they only did 2 seasons, and I do happen to have those on DVD.
Yeah.
So they are out there.
Yep.
I still think they are in print. Because it was not too long ago.
Yeah. The TV show is just fun. It's just the plot lines are just pointless. There's no real plot. It's it's just a lot of just them getting into wacky situations and usually some sort of montage of something happening while a monkey song's playing videos in the background. Yep. Yeah, they're essentially music videos with a little bit of plot in between to connect the music videos.
Yeah. I'm staying quiet because I actually haven't seen them.
And you could just pick one at random on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about whether you're watching them in order or anything.
Nope. Monkey Paw is a good one, and then the fairy tale episode.
Yeah. So, that is sad.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, his music, both with the Monkees and as a solo artist, and the TV series and their movie, which I've never seen. You want to talk about weird movies?
Yeah,
You thought the TV show was weird. Go
yeah,
watch Ed.
That takes it about 10 steps beyond.
Yeah. Just remember the era that it was made in.
Yes.
We don't condone drug use, but some
No.
of these things probably were better consumed under the influence.
Probably. I mean, we're talking bookends. Head and Yellow Submarine.
Yeah. Well, at least Yellow Submarine's got a plot you can follow.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at. Opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. It may still be more fun to watch under the influence, but even if you're not, you can follow what's happening.
Exactly. Yes. Instead of having to hit the rewind button a few times and then just shrug your shoulders and give up and go on.
Yeah. Like, I've seen bits of Head. I've seen enough to know that it is very weird. So there is that. And then really our only other piece of news is some convention announcements for Salt Lake Fan X. I'm very jealous of. I'm jealous of both, but I'm jealous of more of one over the other.
And you can pretty much
Chrissy, I do not like you at the moment. Just kidding.
She means it in the nicest way possible.
I mean that in the nicest way possible. So,
with love.
Yes. So they're getting 2 members of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. First in the form of Paul Bettany, aka Vision, aka Jarvis.
Yes.
And then my favorite person on the entire planet in the MCU.
Yes.
Coulson himself.
Call him Phil.
We call him Phil. Clark Gregg. I'm so jealous. So jealous. And he's going to be, Clark Gregg's going to be at C2E2 as well. And my friend's going to C2E2. And I'm like, can I just hide in your pocket?
Is there any way it can be your +1?
Yeah, really. Like, I don't want to go to Chicago, but it's Clark Gregg. I love him. Coulson's my favorite. Don't tell Robert Downey Jr. that. But
I don't think he'd mind.
His first name's Agent.
He's Phil.
Yes.
I'm still hoping before all this is said and done that he and Coulson get some sort of reunion.
Yeah.
I think Tony deserves to know that he's still alive and well.
Yeah. I think it's really just the MCU's worst kept secret from the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like, if any of them pay attention to the news or any, yeah, they would see a certain agent pop up. Like, he went on the news in one episode.
True.
Like, full on, like, sitting there in the suit. Like, hi, I'm Phil Coulson.
Yeah. Unless Fury somehow did some major jiggery pokery with some of Tony Stark's stuff, but I highly doubt that.
I doubt it. I mean, honestly, at this point, I don't think any of them would be that surprised, considering Fury's supposed to be dead too.
Yeah.
True.
So
they're both looking pretty good and spry for dead guys.
Yes, exactly. Even more so in a couple weeks when we go see Captain Marvel.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. And that's really it for the news. It was really quiet, probably because there was that big award ceremony last night. People have been busy.
Yeah.
'Cause, 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 Pity. So, next up, some feedback. We got some feedback from Shalane. She says, I am happy that Ralph Breaks the Internet and Frozen 2 are Disney featured films instead of going direct to video. Yes, us too. Like other sequels that Disney has done. It's like, I'm not saying those are bad films. She likes most of the sequels, like The Lion King 2, The Little Mermaid 2, Pocahontas 2, but they weren't necessarily as good as their predecessors, which is why they went direct to video. And when we say direct to video, we mean video cassette.
Yep.
Pretty sure I owned all three of those on video cassette. I definitely owned Lion King too. I definitely remember that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, you had a good childhood when you had a collection of Disney movies that came in the white plastic clamshell case.
Yes, and had that satisfying thwop.
Yep.
And that strong plasticky smell.
Yeah.
For some reason, really
Yeah.
liked.
Although as you got older, you had to be careful because over time the plastic would wear and tear and get very sharp.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Crack. Oh yes.
She continues, it says, the shows that she's been watching on Hulu are the ABC TGIF shows like Boy Meets World and Home Improvement, along with some old Nickelodeon shows from her childhood. And then she suggested we should talk about our favorite Nickelodeon shows and Toon Disney and Disney Channel shows from back in the day. Believe us, we will get around to that eventually.
Yes, it is on the list.
It is on the list.
I might have to go back and do a little research and to try to explain some because
Yeah.
I've seen some that they haven't seen.
Yes. There were some weird ones out there.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, Boy Meets World was great. Family Matters was great.
Yes.
A lot of those shows are great. But just wait till we get to talking about this particular subject matter, and I have to tell you all about Teen Angel.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that one. Yep.
It wasn't on for very long because it was not that good.
Nope.
I don't
Well,
think
and the premise too was a little bit of a head scratcher. Like,
Yeah.
that got greenlit.
Yeah. But the kid playing the angel was cute, or at least I thought so at the time. So
Yes. He was cute for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd feel the same now. But
Yes.
at the time.
Yes, at the time, yes. Like, oh yeah, I can watch that.
Yeah.
And I was sitting here having kind of no idea what you guys are talking about.
Oh, you're gonna be in for a treat.
Yes.
So yes, Shalane, the Nickelodeon, CGIF, all of those are on the list. So we'll probably have to break them up, like just the TGIF shows, like just Nickelodeon, maybe Nick Jr. I will fully admit I watched Blue's Clues until I was 16. So
And I caught some episodes of Blue's Clues, and I was a little bit older, but babysitting duty, you do whatever to make.
well, at least you
Keep
have that as an
kiddos happy.
excuse. I wasn't babysitting. I was purposely watching Blue's Clues.
Okay, I'll give, yes, I did watch as
Intentionally.
Well. I did not have intentionally when I didn't have babysitting duty either.
Yeah.
Yes, I can still quote the male song.
Yep. So thank you, Shalane, for that. We also have a note from Chrissy, but it's a bit spoilery.
Yes.
So we're gonna hold off.
Yes, your
We're gonna
feedback
hold
will
off for
get read.
a couple more minutes. So don't worry, Chrissy. We'll get your part of the conversation in there. But we're gonna get we'll get to that in a moment. So speaking of which, segue.
Yep. If you
If you went to bed at a decent hour last night.
yeah.
Which, if you're West Coast, that's not that big of a deal anyway, because it starts at 5 p.m. for them.
Right. And if you're in Central,
if you're Central or Eastern time,
Eastern.
or you're Olivia Colman's Children, and it's the middle of the night in London, you were up kind of late.
Yes. Up past
watching the Academy Awards.
Mm-hmm.
The 91st Academy Awards, which were last night. So, and I had quite fun, especially considering I got to go to a watch party, so I was not watching it by myself, which is always a plus. So, Matt from Sparkle Madness hosted people. So it was Matt and his 2 dogs. Who did not know when I showed up that I was already immune to doggy Jewish guilt when I have a plate full of food.
Ooh, yes.
Just tried as hard as they could.
Did they do the on the floor pouting eyebrows?
No, it was more just looking at me like, give me something. So, and then Ben from Spark Madness, Colin, and then Wes and his girlfriend. I'm not entirely sure. I got there like with half an hour ish before the show was supposed to start, so they were in the middle of grilling burgers on the grill. I showed up and grabbed a plate of food and sat down. So, and then Chauncey showed up a little later. So most of Spark of Madness, and then Chauncey and I representing the 5-ish Fangirls to sit and watch the show. So, and of course we were all, Matt was doing the scoring for them. Well, he was doing the scoring for for both teams essentially. But then, I had our sheets with our guesses, so I was keeping track as well. And it was close there for a little bit. And I'm not entirely sure at what point a significant change happened. But there was a definite surge at one point, and one team surged ahead and stayed there, and eventually had gotten far enough ahead that there was no way that the other team was going to catch up no matter what. And the winning team at the end of the night was us! Woo!
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of surprised.
Yeah, out of the 24 categories, we got 14 of them right. So, as a team, to their 11 with the team picks. So, that is a pretty impressive. I did some number crunching too, just to see how we did as individuals, because not that we're doing anything as far as individuals, but Spark of Madness does. They also compete individually against each other. The trophy in their video that they made, challenging us, that is the Grouch, and that is their trophy for the individual winner. And Colin won last year. And this year, they had a 3-way tie between Matt, Colin, and Ben. They had a 3-way tie for the individuals. So Colin's going to figure out how to get all 3 of their names on the trophy. And for us, actually, as individuals, Brittany and Chrissy tied with your individual picks. You both got 15 right.
Oh, wow.
I got 14 right, and Holly got 12. Chauncey got 5.
Hey, not bad. Not bad.
So, and then overall, the overall ballot, out of the 24 categories, at least one of us on our team, of the 5 of us, at least one of us picked the right winner in every category except for 2.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive.
Yeah. The only categories that no one picked, not a single person picked right, was adapted screenplay and best picture.
Wow.
And best picture, I think a lot of people did not pick because I think that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. And then from what I was reading, there's a little bit of a controversy behind the.
There's a bit of controversy behind a lot of these movies, and it's kind of interesting where people have decided that the controversy has gotten more attention from some over the others.
Yeah.
But we can discuss that. That being said, we'll get into Chrissy's feedback now. So, because her subject line in the email was, "We are the champions." So she says, "Hello, my lovely co-host. Sadly, I'm scheduled to work tonight and unable to join in the recording, but I just wanted to send in a note to properly celebrate our Oscars victory." Pops bubbly. She's like, "And here I would start playing the song 'We Are the Champions,' but that would probably get our YouTube post taken down." Yes, it would. So pretend I did, and we'll be just fine.
Don't worry, I've been singing it in my head all day.
Yeah. She
Or
said,
just go back to watch the YouTube clip of Adam Lambert performing with Queen.
"Yeah, just watch the opening number from last night. You're golden."
Yep.
She said, seriously though, who would have thought that we would guess the best documentary short correctly of all things? Yes.
Yeah.
That definitely helped. I certainly did.
All of us, like, wasn't that the one we all picked, right?
We all did except for Chauncey.
Oh, that's right. Chauncey did something else, but I think we were all just like, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good. We're going.
Yeah. She said, "I certainly didn't think so when I was setting up that dartboard to make my picks." Wink, wink. Said, "I would like to extend a thank you to the guys at Spark and Madness for throwing down the gauntlet and making this year's Oscar experience much more tolerable than it usually is, for me at least." All of us, I think, can say that.
Same.
Yeah. Who knew that a little friendly competition and some good-natured trash talking would enhance your typical Oscar viewing? Good game, guys. So anyway, we're awesome. This was a lot of fun and looking forward. I probably wouldn't say no to a rematch next year, just saying, oh no, we've already established there will be a rematch next year.
Nice.
Yeah. Chrissy, she said, "P.S. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers because we are the champions of the world." Okay, I'm going to stop now. Smiley face. Yes, because we are the winners, we are the champions. That means that Spark and Madness has to review a movie of our choice. And, they kept asking last night, well before we realized that we had won. I was like, I'm not putting the cart before the horse. I'm not, it's like, I'm not gonna, count my chickens before they hatch. That, and because we also had a list. So we weren't entirely sure which movie. We're still not entirely sure which movie. But
did they tell you what they were planning on giving us?
Nope. I guess I'll keep that in their pocket for next year, I guess. But I told them that we would take ours and draw one out of a hat. So that's what I've done. Got them written on strips of paper, and they're in a hat. Yep. But before I do that, we will go through the movies that are in the hats. And it kind of worked out because one of the movies that was suggested is not available anywhere. So once because I went through and there's a website where you can plug in movies and TV shows and it'll tell you where it's available.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of like a dedicated search engine just for streaming services.
Nice.
So I went and plugged those in, and there was one that was just not available anywhere. So once I discarded that from the list, kind of like the Academy, we have 10. of like the best picture category. Up to 10. We've got 10. So the movies that are in the hat that we shall be picking from in no particular order are Airborne from 1993, starring Shane McDermott, Seth Green, and Jack Black. I've got descriptions here. I've got a little synopsis. So for people that don't know, don't recognize these movies, Mitchell Gosen is a teenage kid from California who loves to surf and rollerblade. Yet his parents, who are two zoologists, were given a grant to work in Australia. The only problem was Mitchell couldn't go with them. So he gets sent to stay with his aunt, uncle, and cousin in Cincinnati, Ohio. But when he arrives, he meets his cousin, who is also his new roommate for the next 6 months, Wiley. Mitchell then goes to school and gets on the bad side of the high school hockey players. Mitchell and Wiley end up enduring weeks of torture from the guys. Then the big guys and Mitchell and Wiley have to learn to get along to try to beat the Central High School rivals in the competition down Devil's Backbone.
Alrighty then.
Interesting.
Yes. It's so in the same vein as, those 90s, like skateboarding, teenagers doing some sort of athletics, skateboarding, biking, Mighty Ducks, hockey, that sort of thing. So this happens to be rollerbladers. That was Chauncey's suggestion. We also have from 1983, Krull.
I remember this one.
Starring Ken Marshall, Lysette Anthony, Freddie Jones, and Liam Neeson. A prince and a fellowship of companions set out to rescue his bride from a fortress of alien invaders who have arrived on their home planet. Let's see here.
Definitely sounds like your typical 80s cheesy sci-fi.
Yeah. Yep. From 1997, A Simple Wish, starring Mara Wilson, Martin Short, and Kathleen Turner. Murray is a male fairy godmother, and he is trying to help 8-year-old Annabelle to fulfill her simple wish that her father Oliver, who is a cab driver, will win the leading role in a Broadway musical. Unfortunately, Murray's magic wand is broken, and the fairies' convention is threatened by the evil witches Claudia and Boots.
I vaguely remember this one.
I saw that movie. In the theater. I was the only person.
In theory, it sounds cute.
Yeah, in theory, it does.
Yeah. The execution?
Not so much. I think they were still trying to milk Mara Wilson's
yes,
Matilda cuteness for as long as possible. So, like, oh yeah, let's put her in another movie involving magic. Martin Short, he could be a fairy godmother. All right, from 1991, Highlander 2: The Quickening. Starring Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, and Virginia Madsen. In the year 2025, the ozone layer is believed to have been destroyed. It is up to McLeod and Ramirez to set things right. Opposition comes from both the planet Zeist and a corporation profiting from the supposed lack of ozone. Also, flashbacks show the story behind McLeod and Ramirez's exile from Zeist. And that's because Sean Connery really wanted nothing to do with this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One of my picks.
Yep. All right. Next up from 1987, Inner Space with Dennis Quaid, Martin Short, and Meg Ryan. Test pilot Tuck Peddleton volunteers to test a special vessel for a miniaturization experiment. Accidentally ejected into a neurotic hypochondriac, Jack Putter, Tuck must convince Jack to find his ex-girlfriend, Lydia Maxwell, to help him extract Tuck and his ship and re-enlarge them before his oxygen runs out.
Another one of my picks.
I've seen that one.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a Martin Short kick there for a while in like the late 90s. So.
There's one other one that I'm forgetting, but it had to deal with him on an airplane and there was some protection thing. I can't remember. I think Danny Glover was in it. I could be wrong.
All right, from 1999, Wild Wild West with Will Smith, Kevin Kline, Kenneth Branagh, and Selma Hayek. Legless Southern inventor Dr. Arliss Lovelace plans to rekindle the Civil War by assassinating President U.S. Grant. Only two men can stop him, gunfighter James West and master of disguise inventor Artemis Gordon. The two must team up to thwart Lovelace's plans.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that. I remember not hating it.
Same.
Yeah, like that was my pick, and like I said, it was a guilty pleasure. Like,
Yeah.
I definitely will admit it's not the greatest movie.
Yeah. Yeah. When Chauncey asked what else was on the list, and I said Wild Wild West, and he laughed out loud. Like, really?
Well, hey.
From 2008, Outlander with Jim Caviezel, Sophia Myles, and John Hurt. During the reign of the Vikings, a man from another world crash lands on Earth, bringing with him an alien predator. The man must fuse his advanced technology with the weaponry of the Vikings to fight the monster. Not to be confused with that time travel show. With hot men in kilts.
Yep.
Next up from 1992, Once Upon a Crime with John Candy, Jim Belushi, and Sybil Shepherd. On their way to Monte Carlo, Monaco, Marilyn and her husband Neil meet several other married couples, including Julian and Phoebe, who are traveling with a lost dog. They plan to reunite to its wealthy owner for a large reward. But when the dog's mistress is murdered, the travelers become the prime suspects, and Inspector Bonnard is determined to track them all down.
It
It's
sounds
not
like
as funny
really.
as it sounds.
I was gonna say it kind of sounds like Clue.
A little bit. It's supposed to be a dark comedy. It's not that. It's dark. I don't know if it's that funny. Like I said, I discovered this over the holidays. It was on the TV at my in-laws, and I was just watching it like, what the hell am I watching? There's a dead body in a suitcase and a dog that keeps changing hands, and John Candy's climbing out a window. What is going on here? It was dumb. There's a lot of really familiar, what it seemingly should be funny people in it, but just individually they're funny, but just I think the script was just lacking, I think. So, all right. Next up from 1998, Sphere with Dustin Hoffman, Sharon Stone, Samuel L. Jackson, Liev Schreiber, and Queen Latifah. The OSSA discovers a spacecraft thought to be at least 300 years old at the bottom of the ocean. Immediately following the discovery, they decide to send a team down to the depths of the ocean to study the spacecraft. They are the best of the best, smart and logical, and the perfect choice to learn more about the spacecraft. Well, that's a very bland description.
I was sad to realize this isn't like, because like I read the book.
I did too.
And like, I remember hearing about the movie, but I just never seen it. And
I have.
Sad that's on this list.
It's okay. It's not the best adaptation.
No.
It's definitely one of those where the book is better than the movie.
Kind of like Congo.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, and last but certainly not least, star choices from 2017, My Little Pony the movie. With the cast from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic TV show, along with Emily Blunt, Kristen Chenoweth, Taye Diggs, Zoe Saldana, Michael Pena, and Liev Schreiber. A new force threatens Ponyville, and the main six, Twilight Sparkle, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, and Rarity, embark on an unforgettable journey beyond Equestria, where they meet new friends and exciting challenges on a quest to use the magic of friendship and save their home. So we've got a nice cross section of different types of movies. We've got, stuff for kids, stuff that's a bit more mature, but not too bad. We've got cartoons, we've got live action, we've got sci-fi, we've got fantasy. So now the question is, which one of these are we going to torture? I mean, Gift.
No, that one walks. That walks.
Yeah. Gift / torture the guys from Spark of Madness with. So I've got my hat. I've got my hand in here. I'm shuffling the papers. I don't know if I necessarily have one particular one I hope gets drawn. So, so let's go with this piece of paper. And the winner is Inner Space. Have fun, you guys.
Yep.
And if anyone wants to, if you have not watched this or you haven't watched it in a while, you can buy Inner Space on PlayStation, Apple iTunes, Vudu, Google Play Movies. It's also available for download and rent on PlayStation, Apple iTunes, Vudu, Google Play, and YouTube. So there. All right. That being said, let's move on to the Academy Awards and our thoughts on how the awards went overall. Before we get into the individual winners, what did you think of the overall show?
From what I saw when my power came back on, I enjoyed it. Sounds like I missed most of the awkward moments.
Yeah.
Like so I can't really compare because I've never really watched it before, just like clips. But like it was like kind of what I expected, like the speeches. Some of the speeches I would kind of expected what they was gonna say, knowing what I know, which is not much. And some of the costumes were pretty outrageous. Like I think you missed it, Holly, but Melissa McCarthy came out and she had like this like royal like gown with rabbits all over it.
I did see a picture of that.
Apparently there's a scene with rabbits in The Favorite.
I was really confused, like, what's with the rabbits?
Because between her and the other guy, they're supposed to be wearing at least something representing the different costumes from all the costume, because they did best costume.
Mm-hmm.
She, I think, went with The Favorite. Pretty much top to bottom. And then her co-presenter covered everything else. So, because he had like Mary Poppins hat on. And then he had like the face makeup was from Black Panther. So, that was pretty funny. So, I like when they have fun with the presenting. Like I one of my favorites was because I have someone come out, because they always like to put a big spotlight on the Best Picture nominees. So they have somebody come out and talk a little bit about the movie, and then they show clips from the movie just to remind people that these are your Best Picture nominees. Mm-hmm. And for Bohemian Rhapsody, they got Michael Myers and Dana Carvey, and they did a little Wayne's World. Like,
that was so awesome.
Queen was sitting in the audience. They're like, "We're not worthy. We're not worthy." Like, I'm gonna hurl. Don't hurl, because then I'll blow chunks. If you blow chunks, I'm gonna spew. Therefore, I shall not hurl.
That was great.
It was. I mean, it was bringing back childhood memories.
Yes. That was pretty awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and they did all of the best original songs got performed except for All the Stars. Apparently, there was a scheduling issue with Kendrick Lamar, supposedly. But it was fun to see them get performed. I thought that Bette Midler did a very good job with The Place Where Lost Things Go.
Mm-hmm.
And man, did Shallow. Whew.
Yes.
That was
and
like...
they went, because with all the other performances, they did like projections and like scenery and stuff. So like when Jennifer Hudson sang All Fight from RBG, like they projected like the outside of the Supreme Court building and all this stuff, like images of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and civil rights and all that. And when Bette Midler was singing, they had kind of the sky with Mary Poppins umbrella, like, a whole bunch of them hanging in the background. And the one from Buster Scruggs, they were dressed in Western wear and, looked like they were on a ranch or something with tumbleweeds and that sort of thing. But with Shallow, they really kind of treated it like it was a scene out of the movie.
Exactly. I was just about to say
where you were at a concert and it wasn't Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper, it was Allie and Jack.
Yes, exactly.
Performing this. It's just they were dressed up a lot nicer than they would have been in A Star Is Born.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so they literally came up out of their seats in the audience up to the piano, and he started singing, and then she sat down at the piano and started playing and sang her part, and it was very cool the way they did it. And they lit everything so that the audience, you couldn't see their faces.
Nope.
So it could have been a crowd of anybody. You could have been at a concert somewhere. Instead of it being, that could have been just anybody, except, I knew that was Chris Evans right there in the front row.
Yeah. Well, and then somebody had a shot from the stage with Lady Gaga and everything was kind of dark and backlit. And somebody's like, can you spot Brian May in this picture? And of course you can see the shadow of his...
Yeah, hair.
The hair. It's like...
That luscious, epic mane of curly hair that Brian May's...
Yep.
It may have gone gray, but he's still got it all.
He sure does.
If there were, I think if there were other awards to be given out that night, I think, who was it? Crap, I should have written it down. It was best rock and roll face would have gone to, I think it was Javier Bardem when Queen was performing at the very opening. They kept going to the audience, and there's this shot, I think it's Javier Bardem, where he is like, a kid at a rock concert.
Well, I mean, Jennifer Lopez, I think even I saw Queen Latifah just, yes.
Yeah.
Well, even going close, it was just like, okay, yep, they're into this.
Yeah, like they were all just having a blast. So, so that was quite fun. I think the fact that there was no host helped.
I think so too. I
think it went faster.
It was, because there wasn't too much of an overlap.
Yeah, it's like you didn't have to worry about skits or anything. It was just, let's get to the next award. If you wanted to do a little shtick presenting the award, like Melissa McCarthy did, or Keegan-Michael Key did before Bette Midler's performance, where he came out of the rafters with the umbrella. They could do something like that, but you didn't have to worry about actual, there have been some bits, like Ellen DeGeneres ordering pizza and doing the selfie with, like 5 million celebrities in it. You can have some fun stuff like that, but it adds time to the show. And, with the award acceptances, supposedly they're only supposed to get 2 minutes, but you get to a certain point depending on who, and I think they just call audibles depending on who the winner is, because they're very obvious that some people got way more than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think Olivia Colman did, but her reaction, she's a first-time winner. It was so...
Oh, yeah.
It was so lovable.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't be shock and awe and, oh my gosh, this is actually happening.
Yeah. Well, even the people that, this isn't their first rodeo, they won before, like Alfonso Cuarón. He walked away with 3 last night, but these are not his first Oscars. He's won 2 already. 3, actually, 2, at least that I know of. He won 2 in 2014. He won for Gravity. He won Best Director for that, and then it won Best Picture, I think. So these are not his first Oscars, but he got out there and he was, he's not like super bouncing off the walls excited, but you could tell he was genuinely happy to have won. And then you've got some others, where you could just see. I just love, you could see on their face when they are genuinely surprised and happy that they won. So there's some very, very exciting reactions. Lady Gaga, when Shallow won, just the look on her face was just absolutely adorable. Olivia Colman when she won. Regina King, even though she's been tearing it up the entire award season, she was still just, shocked.
Yes.
Spike Lee,
and good on Cap for helping her up.
Yes.
Escorting her up to the stage.
Escorting her up, and when he came out to present whatever it is, he came out to present that, he was holding on to the arm of was it Sarah Paulson? No, that was Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd was with Sarah Paulson. Who was Chris Evans presenting with? I don't remember that. Whoever it was.
I can't remember.
The way he was holding onto her arm and the way he was holding himself. He is Steve Rogers. He is Captain freaking America.
Yes.
Yep. Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., you do not know where their characters end and where they themselves begin.
Yeah.
Pretty much I've come to that conclusion.
Pretty much, yes. And I love the joke when Paul Rudd came out to present his award, because I think they did Best Visual Effects.
Yes.
And Sarah Paulson said something about, how it makes something, talking about, some, referencing something, like they're able to recreate, the Live Aid performance or something like that with visual effects, and Paul Rudd's like, and it can make me look like an actor.
Yep.
Make you think that I am an actual actor. It's like, oh, Paul Rudd. Everybody loves Paul Rudd, not just in beer commercials. You're a treasure.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they could go without an actual host.
Yeah.
And I think they would be fine.
So. It's going to be interesting to see what the numbers come up for ratings.
Yeah.
This year as opposed to other years with hosts.
Yeah. Yeah, that will be interesting. So let's get to the actual awards. So in our case, not only did documentary short help, but voting the Queen ticket, Street Queen ticket, helped us a lot, especially in the sound editing and mixing categories. So those technical categories helped us a lot.
Well, even Black Panther.
Yes, Black Panther helped a lot too. There's I kind of agreed with Sean when he posted on Facebook afterwards last night, where because Glenn ended up winning.
Yes, he did.
But Sean had said something about voting with my head instead of my heart would have done him better, and I think it would have gone the same way for us in some categories, because especially the ones where we're like, well, the Academy usually really loves period pieces. And
there's a couple that we burned ourselves on.
There's a couple that we burned ourselves. I think if we had given Black Panther just a bit more faith and gone with our hearts with those, that we would have eked out a few more right guesses. So, but yeah, so costume design ended up biting us in the butt.
Because I think a few of us had Black Panther.
No, actually, you were the only one that voted for Black Panther for costume design.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I think the rest of us went the favorite, right?
I think you guys did.
And then Chauncey had gone with Mary Poppins Returns. Yeah. So, and there are 2 coin tosses. One of them worked in our favor, the other didn't. It helped us for supporting actor, because that did end up going to Mahershala Ali. But the coin toss ended up burning us because it was between Glenn Close and Olivia Colman. And the coin went with Glenn Close. So, but yeah, there's another one that,
well, the documentary, that one helped us.
Yes, documentary short helped. Documentary feature, after the fact, the more I was reading and getting to know the nominees, if we could have, I would have tried to fight to change our pick to Free Solo. Because it's just the closer it got to yesterday, and I'm like, no, Free Solo I think is going to win that. So my gut was going, yeah, you probably picked wrong, and we did, but that's okay.
Yeah.
There were several where we were our individual picks. We were almost across the board. We were 3 out of 4 for supporting actress. All 4 of us were on board for Rami Malek, of course, and I fight me on that. Do not try. Don't at me, bro.
Nope. No, exactly.
Rami Malek deserves that award, regardless of the other issues that people have with Bohemian Rhapsody. He owned that part.
Yes, he
Granted,
did.
I have not seen at Eternity's Gate, and supposedly William Dafoe does for Vincent van Gogh what Rami Malek did for Freddie Mercury, but still. Christian Bale, I mean, he was good. More power to him for putting himself once again through a big body change for a role. But he did exactly what they intended for that role, where you're supposed to come out of it not liking Dick Cheney, and I did not. But there's something about his performance, though, that just rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know if it was his way of talking, which is spot on for Dick Cheney, but there's just something about his delivery that just turned me off.
Just the glint in the eye a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I just did not care for his performance. There was just something off of it for me. And I haven't seen Green Book either, so, but I imagine that Viggo, while I'm sure he did a very good job, it probably was not an Oscar-winning performance. I know a lot of people said that really the way Green Book is structured, that really it should be double billing for lead actor with Viggo and Mahershala.
That's what, I haven't seen either, but that's what I would have assumed when I...
Yeah, because it's really just the 2 of them carrying the movie for the most part. They end up, they're together. It's just the 2 of them for such a big chunk of the movie that they might as well just have equal billing, at least from what I understand. Best director, not a surprise there. No. Alfonso Cuarón walked away with it. Cinematography ended up going to Roma, which I actually picked. So I think that was probably a toss-up, though, between The Favorite and Roma, I think. So I imagine if you looked at the counts, that was probably a close one, would be my guess. Costume design, like we said, that was one that bit us in the butt. That being said, I am happy to take that loss.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching, I cheered. I was like, yay, Black Panther, but boo, that
because we got it wrong.
Yeah, that we got it wrong.
Yeah, that was definitely, anytime Black Panther won something and we hadn't picked it, I was like, boo that we got it wrong, but yay, Black Panther. Because their costume designer, she for it not being a period piece, where they create, especially something like The Favorite with the ostentatious, ball gowns and the wigs and the hats and the just craziness that is, royalty, period, Regency era type clothing. Black Panther, T'Challa aside, obviously the literal Black Panther costume, that was CGI. But anytime T'Challa was in regular clothes and everybody else, other than when Killmonger ends up with his version of the Black Panther suit, which was also CGI, the costumes are just beautiful. And the fact that she took the time for, when we get to the waterfall fight and you have the different tribes represented and they each have their own distinct look, and yet it all still fits in that universe. And she made sure that regardless of which tribe it was, that the costumes were authentic to an actual tribe in Africa. That she wasn't, she didn't just sit down with a pencil and paper and say, oh, that looks kind of African. That'll work. She actually did the research to make sure that she was not culturally appropriating anything. She made sure to use fabrics and colors and prints that were legit appropriate. You could go to Africa and see colors and fabrics from Black Panther on actual people in Africa.
Yes.
So obviously for some of the modern stuff, like T'Challa's mother, some of Shuri's outfits, putting that modern spin on it. I think it's what is it? One of T'Challa's mother's, Angela Bassett's character, one of her dresses was 3D printed. Yeah, that's the way they made the dress. It was 3D printed. Like, how cool is that? But it still fits within the universe of Wakanda because they're so technologically advanced. Of course, the queen would wear a dress that's been 3D printed. So, yeah, Black Panther, we got it wrong, but I would totally take that loss.
Yep.
Let's see, documentary short we did get right, which is awesome. I love the fact that was directed and won by women. It was a team of women. That was pretty cool. Apparently that's on Netflix. That was a Netflix supported production too, so I think it's still on Netflix. I have not checked. Film editing, Bohemian Rhapsody, of course. For language film, we got that right. That was no surprise. Went to Roma. Makeup and hairstyling. Once again, Holly, you were the only one that called it. You had voted for Vice, and you got outvoted because we all went with Mary Queen of Scots.
And I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Although someone in a video I was watching earlier, someone doing an Oscar recap, disagreed with giving it to Vice because makeup and hairstyling, other than Christian Bale had a little bit of prosthetics, but most of his physical embodiment of Dick Cheney was the weight gain, which has nothing to do with makeup or hairstyling. That was all on him. So a lot of the other people, for the period, especially because of how many different time periods it goes through, because it starts from like the 60s, late 60s, early 70s through to modern day. So yeah, the hairstyles changed, the costumes, the men's suits and the ladies' outfits, those changed too. But I mean, other than Christian Bale, everybody else still kind of looks like themselves. There's no really great chameleon, although that being said, Rami Malek still kind of looks like Rami Malek playing Freddie Mercury, but I don't know. I'm torn on that one. So I'm not necessarily sure they got that one right. But whatever. Best original score. We did get that one right because it did go to Black Panther, which is good, which was awesome.
Yes.
So, which apparently Gustav there, he's buddy with Ryan Coogler because this is the third Ryan Coogler directed movie he's done the score for, because he also did Creed and I can't think of the movie now. Oh crap! What's that movie Ryan Coogler did several years ago? Fruitvale Station. He also did the score for that as well. So, which is, hey, that's not that uncommon. Director.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Director and composer relationships. Not an unheard thing in Hollywood. So just look at Tim Burton and Danny Elfman. there's a combination that we see a lot. Original song, Shallow, of course. No surprise there. Awesome for Lady Gaga. You can now say Academy Award winner, Lady Gaga.
I love how emotional she was when she accepted the award.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. So, she is on her way to that EGOT.
Yes, she is.
So, like she's halfway there? Because I don't think she won something for her stint on American Horror Story, but I think it was a Golden Globe, not an Emmy. So... production design, that went to Black Panther, which we did pick. Animated short, we all got right for Bao, of course. when in doubt, go with Pixar. Animated feature, Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, again, not a surprise.
It's funny because that one isn't Pixar, and they were Pixar.
Yeah. Well, Incredibles 2 is Pixar, Ralph Breaks the Internet is Disney Animation. So Disney technically had two in there. So Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse is Sony. So live action short, not even close. Although Chrissy did pick it. Not that it mattered. Although looking back, that makes sense if you look at the current political climate. If you look at the current state of things and that particular subject matter for that one, that should have been kind of obvious, I think, maybe, that was probably going to win. Sound editing, sound mixing, both went to Bohemian Rhapsody, which those were the two that really helped us because Spark and Madness did not. Well, they did for sound mixing, but sound editing, they had picked A Quiet Place. So There were a couple where we had gone with Bohemian Rhapsody and they didn't. And when they called Bohemian Rhapsody to win, that there was a very loud screams of "what" from the other guys.
And you're trying to keep a calm expression on your face.
Yeah. It's like, this is good for us.
Yep.
This is really good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Which I totally agree that those should have gone to Bohemian Rhapsody. They weren't. I guess sound editing is really just getting all of the sound in there. So not just music, but doors opening, phones ringing, that sort of thing. Sound mixing is getting it leveled right. So if someone's supposed to be on the phone and a door closes, it needs to sound like you're hearing it through a phone, that sort of thing.
So I'm like, I didn't really know the difference.
Yeah,
I noticed a bit of difference, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, editing is getting the right sounds in the right places, and then mixing is getting the sounds to sound right where they are.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's the best way. That's probably the Cliff Notes way of doing it. That's really oversimplifying it, but because I have done sound editing, I do sound editing for this, although this isn't nearly as complicated as a feature-length movie, but I have done more complicated sound editing throughout my time, mostly in college, but still. So I know what that all entails, and it is not easy. First, getting the sounds right, making sure that all the sounds because a lot of you go outside, go to the mall and sit in the food court for 5-10 minutes and try to write down every single sound you hear. You'd be really surprised how many sounds we don't consciously register. And that's where the sound editor comes in, making sure that all of those sounds are there so that it sounds the way it's supposed to. And then the person mixing it makes sure that they sound right once they're in there. So, and Bohemian Rhapsody, with all of those going between concert performances to, sitting in an office, arguing over whether Bohemian Rhapsody should be a song released to the radio. Those are completely two different, sound, groups of sounds that you're going to have in those particular scenes. Even you'd really be surprised, I think, with how many different sound pieces or tracks or whatever are in that scene, Michael Myers in his office versus the Live Aid concert. Obviously the Live Aid is going to have a crap ton, but some of the smaller scenes are going to have a lot of them too, more than you realize. So I'm not surprised that Bohemian Rhapsody won for that. Visual effects was a surprise, although I had voted for First Man.
Yes, you did. I remember that, and I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah. What can we say? We're Marvel fangirls. At the end of the day, we're gonna go with the Marvel. But it did end up going to First Man, which, I guess recreating landing on the moon is impressive.
I was gonna make a fake joke, but I couldn't.
Yeah. Somewhere Stanley Kubrick is going, yeah. Kidding. At least I'm kidding. I do not subscribe to the moon landing was faked and directed by Stanley Kubrick, unlike some people who do. Or some people like to say, yes, the moon landing was directed by Stanley Kubrick, but because he's such a perfectionist, he insisted that they film on location.
I've seen that. I laughed so hard. Like,
Adapted screenplay, we did not get right. Nobody got right. Because that ended up going to Black Klansman. So.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know what Black Klansman was about until I was watching the Oscars last night. Like I don't know, like I heard about it, but I never really paid attention or went to look it up.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and it didn't get a lot of. They didn't play the trailer quite a bit when it was out.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer a couple of times when it was first started to be promoted, and I was like, okay, that's a thing. So, which that was Spike Lee's win, one win.
I loved it because that was when I am Samuel L. Jackson and Brie Larson handed out. like apparently they're friends.
Oh yeah. So, and I love that Samuel L. Jackson let Spike Lee know that the Clippers had won. Like the one time you're not courtside, Spike, just so you know. Just in case you weren't checking your phone. There you go. So, from what I understand of Black Klansman, I guess this was probably a deserved award. Again, this is one of those things that I discovered after we made our picks. But I guess Black Klansman is based off a book written by the police officer who is, played, he's the focal point. It's a true story, but I guess his book is essentially the book form of a police report. So it's very droll and very dry and not really exciting at all. So the fact that Spike Lee was able to adapt that into something entertaining, probably worthy of winning the Oscar. So, and then Best Original Screenplay, we got wrong. Although Brittany and Chauncey did vote for Green Book. So, which, again, one of those that are kind of controversial because they're living family members of the people involved have differing opinions on how things actually happened.
Yes. One accusing the other of lying, and
Yep. Because I guess it was written by the son of the musician, I think.
I think so, based off of stories that he was told verbally.
Yes. Yeah. But then I guess the family members of the guy played by Viggo Mortensen are like, no, that's not how it happened.
I feel like that's something we should expect by living members of, I don't know. Like I said.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily that he's like portrayed badly, I think, because that's what some of the issues of people had with Green Book winning Best Picture, is because the story is not that, while it's good, it's not anything groundbreaking. It's essentially Driving Miss Daisy.
Right.
But with the races reversed and the person being driven around is a dude instead of an old woman. So it's a good movie, I guess, from the people who've seen it. Sean really liked it, and he said it deserved to be Best Picture. But from what I understand of other people that have seen it, they're like, yeah, it's good, but it's not any, when you're talking about, especially with so many movies nominated this year that have to do with race, with Black Klansman and Black Panther, and Roma, which has nothing to do with African Americans, but has to do with Hispanics. But there's issues with, relations in the Hispanic community in that film. So there's so many movies that have to do with race.
Bohemian.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but there's a tiny bit of it.
Yeah. that it's the Green Book people just think it's too safe. That the Academy once again went with what they're familiar with. That it's the nice, safe movie of two people from different walks of life thrown together in some situation and have to figure out how to get along. And they do. And Hollywood pats themselves on the back saying, good job for us, supporting something that doesn't really push forward race relations any further. It just kind of it keeps a steady course, but it's not really progressing it any further. Again, I'm saying this based on things that I have heard from people that have seen this movie. So, I can't speak from my own experience from watching the film. I'll watch it eventually, probably.
I do have plans on watching it, but not because of it winning anything, but because I always like Viggo Mortensen. That was I think he's a good actor, but I don't know, the little I know of it.
Yeah. Exactly. So I would have liked to seen Bohemian Rhapsody win, obviously.
And not just because we voted.
Not just because we voted for it. I would have been happy to see Black Panther win it.
Oh, yeah.
I totally would have taken a loss on that if Black Panther had won.
Or even A Star Is Born, I would have taken.
Yeah, I would have taken A Star Is Born as well for that. But at the end of the day, the Academy decided to go with Green Book, which this is the second time that Mahershala Ali has been in a film that surprised people by winning Best Picture. So
yes.
We'll have to keep that in mind going into the future. It's like, is Mahershala Ali in this movie? We might need to vote for that one.
Yep.
Although it was surprising, there was no controversy. They made sure, as Julia Roberts was coming out onto the stage, they showed that envelope right to the camera as she was taking it. It said Best Picture.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Exactly. Oh yeah, another award season coming on. Before you know it, we'll be back into it again with other movies. That who knows what's going to get.
And I'm
attention.
I'm thinking Rocket Man might get the same hype.
I was joking about that. I was joking about that after the show was over, as we were packing up our stuff last night. We were talking about doing a rematch, and I'm like, it's like, yeah, we'll do it again next year. Rocket Man, we'll put votes for it in right now. It's gonna assume it's gonna go the way of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Did you get some icy stares?
Now they laughed. Oh. Yeah, just based on what I know off the top of my head, what's coming out this year, Rocket Man probably. It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, because again, they love biopics and they love Tom Hanks.
Yep. And
if Mr. Rogers isn't going to get it in documentary, dagnabbit, Tom Hanks is going to get it playing Mr. Rogers, hopefully.
And I'm thinking probably Captain Marvel, Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, those will at least
Star Wars for the...
Yeah, hopefully Black Panther. And I was, having a debate, a lively debate with Ben last night about Black Panther and Into the Spider-Verse and all that. And he was, he's like, Into the Spider-Verse is the best superhero movie ever besides The Dark Knight. It's like, well, yeah, but Black Panther getting nominated for Best Picture breaks that glass ceiling.
Yes, it does.
He's like, well, Dark Knight should have won it. So, we can't retroactively go back, unfortunately.
No.
But going forward, with Black Panther not only getting nominated for Best Picture, but also winning these awards outside of just, visual effects or sound mixing, or where usually our films get relegated to. That going forward, the Academy, again, we don't need a best popular movie category. Forget that.
Right.
That was an idea. Drop it. Hopefully, as Academy voters get younger, the Academy starts getting replaced more and more with people from our generation, that will help.
How does that walk in? Or do you know? Like, I don't pay attention.
You have to be invited.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and the last time that there was like a major change in the demographics, I think was back in the 70s, when I was reading an article. I think they said when Gregory Peck was president of the Academy at the time, and he realized that the voting pool was too many stuffy old white men, essentially, that he invited just a big influx of younger folks. And if you look at the awards in the 70s, that's when movies like Midnight Cowboy and Rocky and movies like that started winning. But they're very tight-lipped about who is in the voting pool. All you really know is who the president of the Academy is, and that's about it. They're very, very tight-lipped on that. It tends to be other actors and directors and folks like that. So, as we start to get people like Brie Larson, maybe, into the voting pool, that will slowly but surely, the most popular, what people would consider the most popular films, the less Oscar baity type movies start getting the recognition that they deserve. It's not just, the war movies. It's not the political movies. It's not the droll biopics. No offense to, Lincoln. But so we'll see. We'll see going into the season. So everything that's coming out now is eligible. So
yeah,
this time next year we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Anybody got anything else to add?
Not that I can think of. This was fun. And hey, I'm with Chrissy, up for a rematch.
Yeah.
Me too.
I think they're going to want it. I think it's going to be a point of pride.
So how many times have they, how long have they been doing it themselves?
That last year was the first year, as far as I know.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Their show is really young, so. So, alrighty. Well, if any of our listeners have opinions on the Academy Awards or anything else we discussed on this week's episode, you can send us feedback like Chrissy and Shalane did. Easiest way is to go to our website, which is the5ishfangirls.com. From there, you can send us an email or hit us up on one of our other social media platforms, which are all linked: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff. Also, you can find links to the Goodreads Book Club every month.
You have less than a week. You've got 4 days left to vote. The tie has been broken, but still, if you want to vote, please do so.
Yep. So every month we read a Doctor Who related book. So when we have a poll going to vote for the next month's book, and you then Holly is nice enough to facilitate those, and she leaves a good number of the discussions open. If a discussion is old and has been closed, but you want to put in your 2 cents, just message us and she will open that up for you.
Because I never close them or delete them. The only thing I might go back in and delete, I've noticed, is like some of the old polls from years ago, this poll is still up, or for voting. I mean, those polls are closed. So the only cleaning that I would do of the threads would be like the voting poll options or tiebreakers, but I'm going to keep all the book discussions open. If you would happen to notice that they're locked, it could be something on Goodreads ends, just let me know and I will gladly open that back up to talk.
Yep. Yip, yip. Also on our website, if you would like to financially support us, you can do so in a couple different ways. You can use our Amazon affiliate link. Most of the movies that were mentioned on last night's award show, if they're not yet available for purchase, they will be soon. And you want to do that through Amazon, you can click on our link and then make your purchases, and we get a small kickback from that. It does not cost you any more. You can use Prime if you're a Prime member. And you don't have to buy movies. You can buy anything, just saying, if you need that Blu-ray copy of Vice, you can purchase it and help us out in the process. Also, there is the link to our Patreon. So if you want to support us on a regular monthly basis, you can go to Patreon, and for as little as $1 a month, you can help support us financially. There's also the link to our merch on Redbubble. So we have shirts and cell phone covers and all sorts of things for purchase with different designs, our logo, some other fandom related things. And then there's also our Ko-fi. You can support us there, which is a one-time donation. So, and you can, I don't know, I still need to look and see what the minimum is for Ko-fi, but if you decide to skip Starbucks and want to give us that $3 or $4 you're going to spend on that, macchiato, whatever, you can do that. And it's a one-time donation. There's no recurring like Patreon or anything. So you can support us financially that way. And I think that's everything. Mm-hmm. Cool. Alrighty then. Well, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Brittany and Betham saying goodnight.
This is Alex from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. And we did rock you.
Listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.